715 meters of throw versus 500 meters of throw. Which of these pocket throwers comes out on top? What's up, everybody? On the Review Garage table today, it's a head-to-head battle. We have the Acebeam E10 2.0 going up against the Olight Baton Turbo. And in today's video, we'll be doing my full side-by-side comparison and, of course, figuring out which one of these lights comes out on top. Now, before I get into the video, I do want to point out, I do have individual reviews of both these lights on my channel. So if you're kind of looking for more of a detailed review, overview of either of these lights, I'll go ahead and post the description. I'll post the links in the description so you can go ahead and check those videos out. So we'll go ahead and get right into it. We'll kind of just start here with the size. As you can see, similar size. Obviously, our E10 is going to be quite a bit wider at the bezel. Height's going to be very similar, and the width, with the exception of the bezel, is pretty similar as well. Both very easy to go in a pocket or an everyday carry bag. They kind of disappear pretty easily. Obviously, your Baton Turbo is going to be a little bit easier just because it is quite a bit more narrow. I did find when I was wearing jeans, if I put these in the pocket, the Baton Turbo does carry noticeably easier in a front pocket of a pair of jeans. But both do really good in the pocket either way. We'll go ahead and see how they look here in the palm. Just you'll see, obviously, the E10 is a little bit bigger, but they're both very small overall. We'll go ahead and I got a AA battery here. So our Baton Turbo is right about, roughly 2 AA batteries. You can kind of compare the thickness there. On our E10, we'll see just about 2 as well. Obviously quite a bit thicker there, just so you have a little idea of the thickness. And when you're holding these two in the hand, the weight feels quite a bit similar. I think the Olight, or the Baton Turbo, is marginally lighter. I think it's 91 grams on the Baton Turbo versus 106 grams on the E10 2.0. So again, very similar weights. I really can't tell the difference in which is lighter, holding them side by side. And as far as, how they feel in the hand, I actually really like the grip I get on the E10, because if you're holding it by the switch here, you can kind of get your finger right underneath the lip of the bezel, and it kind of fits really good. So I like the way that feels. But the Baton Turbo is really nice as well. Look at this nice, this little grippy, it's a little more of a grippy texture here. You can kind of get a good feeling on it there. So both, again, are going to feel really well in the palm, holding them. Both feel really good. And kind of just going in line with how they feel. They feel similar. I mean, they're both made of a hard anodized aluminum finish. They both are going to, they feel pretty similar in that regard. As you can see, they look quite a bit similar here. Now, of course, our E10 is going to have 715 meters of max throw, whereas our Baton Turbo is going to have our 510 meters of max throw. 715 meters of max throw on the E10 and 510 meters on the Baton Turbo. We've got 127,000 max candela on the E10 versus 65,000 candela on the Baton Turbo. They're both going to be waterproof up to 2 meters. The E10 2.0 is IP68 rated, and the Baton Turbo is IPX8 rated. So the E10 does have that extra dust rating for its durability as well. And we're both going to have our magnetic tails on here. So again, it makes this really nice functioning carry light to have that magnetic tail. And one of the biggest differences with these two lights, other than obviously the E10 being a little wider, is going to be the charging systems. Obviously with Olight, you have their proprietary charging system. It is for anyone not familiar with it, it's this little magnetic connector here. Goes right in, USB, charges, red it's charging, green it's charged. Now it is a proprietary system, so a lot of people kind of don't like that. I actually find these charging cables really easy to use, and I have so many Olights, I have so many laying around. It's just easy for me. I do think it's nice not having to take a battery out or anything like that. You can kind of just pop it on and boom, you're charging. But with the E10 2.0, you are going to be able to charge with the included USB-C charger. So we just plug it right in here. Red charging, green it's charged. I should also mention the E10 2.0 is retailing for around $60, whereas the Baton Turbo is around $75. So the E10 is noticeably less expensive, which is generally the case. The Olights, you seem to pay a little bit of a premium with them. And some of the other just main differences with these two lights, you'll see obviously the Baton Turbo does come with this two-way clip, which is nice. There is no clip on our E10. Now kind of sticking with the similarities with this light, when we start going over our interface here, you'll see they're even similar there. We have a single switch on, off, and all of our functions are controlled by this switch. And my E10's not coming on. I think I put the battery in wrong. This is the problem when I'm doing this behind a camera. I kind of do dumb stuff like that. But the show goes on. We're gonna fix that, and hopefully this comes on now. Let's see. There we go. There you go. So yeah, so a single switch control here. Now on the Baton Turbo, you do get the mode indicator on the left and the battery indicator on the right. So that is nice. None of that on the E10. But to use them on, off, again, on, off, everything's the same. We can hold them to go into our moonlight mode. Now our moonlight mode, we'll kind of just run through the modes here real quick, and I'll give you their outputs. Our moonlight mode on the E10 is going to be 2 lumens, and on the Baton Turbo is going to be 0.5. So if we hold them to go up to this is our low setting. We have 15 lumens on the 2.0 and 12 lumens on the Baton Turbo. Go ahead and hold them again. So this is our medium output. Separate these a little bit. We have 150 lumens on the E10 and 60 lumens on the Baton Turbo. We hold them down again. We are now in our high setting. We're looking at 500 lumens on the E10 versus 300 lumens on the Baton Turbo. And if we double click to get our turbo setting, we are looking at 1200 on the E10 and 1000 on the Baton Turbo. Now, let me pull these back a little bit just so you can kind of see, try to separate these. Now, obviously, we'll get a better demonstration outside, but you'll kind of see right off the bat, like the E10, again, another of the big difference is just going to be, it really is just like a laser of a hotspot. It is designed to just shoot as much light downrange at a single target as possible. I mean, you'll see on our Baton Turbo, we have, I mean, there's not a ton of spill, but there's enough spill to where you can still use this, you know, as like a walking light as well if you wanted to. But on our Baton or our E10, it really is just a really tight hot spot, not hardly any spill. That is just, you know, it really is this kind of little rocket of light going down range. And you still get that with the Baton Turbo, but there is at least a little bit of usable spill on it. So again, so just we cycle through on, you know, with a single button. So they're very similar with how you use them. Oh, I should also mention, if you want to get to the strobes feature, you hit them 3 times once they're on. So there we go there. Didn't want that on too much, gonna give myself a migraine. So yeah, so very similar interfaces. Both are great. Like I think both these interfaces are great. Maybe I give a slight edge to the Baton Turbo just because you have the indicator, which I think is nice to have, you know, an indicator on the Baton Turbo, but 10 out of 10, both super easy lights to use. You don't have to do any programming, anything like that. All right here, easy, right at the tip of your thumb, good to go. So getting into some specific pros with the Baton Turbo. Again, that's going to be the size. It is, you know, it's noticeably smaller and does fit easier in the pocket, like I mentioned. And you are going to get, you know, at least a little bit of spill, usable spill with it on the Baton Turbo. So you are going to get a little bit more of a well-rounded beam. And then you do get your clip. So if it's something, you know, if you want to be clipping to a hat or anything like that, you are going to have the advantage with the Baton Turbo. And like I said earlier, I will give a slight edge in the build quality on the Baton Turbo. It just feels a little bit more. It just feels a little bit more solid. And it's not to say the E10 feels bad, but I think if I had to pick one that just feels a little bit more sturdy and solid, I do think the Baton Turbo feels a little bit better. Now again, our cons are going to be the proprietary battery system on the Baton Turbo, and it's obviously going to have shorter throw and also shorter output in all of the modes. And it does come in, you know, quite a bit more expensive, you know, $25 more expensive. So it is noticeably more expensive. And if we go to our E10 2.0, start with a couple cons. Again, you have no clip on this one, so maybe that's a con, maybe not, but it's worth mentioning. No clip. I think the biggest con is just going to be the wider bezel here, because if it's something you want to stick in your pocket, or even if you have like an everyday carry pack, like a little pack you're carrying, this one does bulge out a little bit more. I've noticed when I carry, like if I carry on my chest with my everyday carry pack, I know this is in there more so than I know the Baton Turbo's in there, so it's kind of a little bit of a con. And then also with the E10, it's going to be that extremely narrow beam. Again, this is, I mean, it's what it's advertised as, so I don't really know if I should be mentioning it as a con, but I'm going to mention it just like it is very much just a, a center hotspot, just a throw down range type of light. Not one you're going to be like walking around the backyard, your property, whatever, just kind of look at your feet, what's in front of you. This is definitely to aim light downrange at a target. But then for the pros on the Acebeam, again, I think the biggest pro is going to be you are getting 715 meters of throw. So that's noticeably more than the Baton Turbo. And again, if you look at this, I mean, the package of this thing, to get 715 meters of throw is very impressive in this light. So I think that's going to be the biggest pro for me. And then of course, just the cheaper price on the E10 2.0. Cheaper is nice. It's always nice to save a few bucks, and you definitely save that with the E10 2.0. Now I did want to see, before we get these outside to see what they really can do in the dark, I did want to point out one more kind of observation I noticed with the E10 2.0 versus the Baton Turbo. The E10 2.0 has a much more of a yellowish greenish tint on the actual light. As you can kind of see here, you'll notice it even more inside, like if you're using it inside on a wall. You can definitely tell the Baton Turbo has more of a whitish, clearish light versus, if we're looking here, you can kind of really tell how this E10 2.0 does have a noticeable, greenish yellow tint. So just something to keep in mind as well. That's something that might kind of bug you a little bit. Just wanted to point that out. So let's go ahead and get the E10 and Baton Turbo outside. Let's see what they can do in the dark. All right, guys, we are in the backyard now. First little test we'll do here, about 15 yards away from our vinyl fence. We'll just kind of give us a good chance to kind of see how these beams look side by side here. So we'll run through the modes. I'll probably do like one mode in each of them and then put them on at the same time so you can see them kind of together. So let's go ahead and we will start with our E10. Let me get this down to low. So this is the E10 here in the low setting. And we'll go ahead and cut that one off here, and we will put the Baton Turbo in the low setting. So this is the Baton Turbo. You can pretty quickly see you get quite a bit more spill on this Baton Turbo beam. So we'll go ahead and move this to the side. We'll put our Acebeam E10 back on. So again, left side we have the Baton Turbo, right side we got our E10, and you can see all the flood, all the spills coming off the Baton Turbo side. I'm kind of shaking it so you can see it. It's all coming off that side. So we'll go ahead and turn that one off, and we will hold down our E10. So we are now in the medium on the E10. So there's our medium right there. And we'll go ahead and pop our Baton Turbo into the medium right there. So we are both in our medium settings. Let me see if I can spread these out a little bit. So again, you see, got a lot more spill, still pretty tight, concentrated hotspot on the Baton Turbo, but just really nothing compared to the E10. We'll go ahead and hold this down. Let me turn the Baton Turbo off. So this is our high on the E10. It's our high setting here. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this one off, and we'll go to our high on the Baton Turbo, just so you can see the difference here. So high on our Baton Turbo. So I can get a good view right there in the middle there. So again, you can see you get a decent amount of flood there. You can still, like I said, you can walk around the property with this and still be okay seeing what's in front of you as well as what's further down range. Let's go ahead and put this E10 on high as well. Oop, there we go, right there. So it's the E10 on high. Let me turn the Baton Turbo off just so you can kind of see him again there. So there's high on the E10. Now let's jump up to our turbo. So there's our turbo there. Again, that turbo, you can see, I mean, it's just bouncing light off that hot spot on the fence. It literally bounced right into my face. I mean, it just rips light ahead there, and you can see it just looks like a little sun, like a little sun on the fence there. So let me turn this one off, and we will do that is our turbo on the Baton Turbo. So see, still got a really nice hot spot there. You got a lot more flood. There's a little bit more of a versatile kind of beam on this Baton Turbo. Let me go ahead and spread this out. We'll get them on at the same time here. So there's our turbo on the right side on the E10 and the left side on the Baton Turbo. We'll get them kind of close together there, so you can kind of see the difference. All right, next up here, I'm just in a different part of the yard here. We're going to shine down to where a brick wall meets the vinyl fence. It's right about 40 yards away, so kind of be a little bit more of a further range test just to kind of compare these two. Now for this one, I'm just going to start at the high setting. So we're going to start with the E10 on the high setting. So we'll see right down there, right where that hot spot is, you'll see where the brick wall meets the vinyl, right about 40 yards. Again, let me kind of readjust this. Go down here, so right down there. Got all the full perimeter of the yard there. Get a good look at that. And that hot spot right on the brick wall there, and all the way down the corner there, a little over 40 yards. Let's go ahead and do this on the Baton Turbo in our high setting here. And pull this back a little bit. So you'll see, again, you can pretty easily tell the differences in the kind of the beam style here. Baton Turbo still no issue getting out there, but you are going to see that hot spot's a little bit more diffused, actually quite a bit more diffused, and then you of course get more of that area flood there on each side. We'll go ahead and do the turbo. So here's our turbo on the E10. Again, it gets out there. I mean, it really is impressive. The kind of get up on the tree line here. You can really just point this at a little target. If I want to see that tree, you can really get really detailed with where you want to point this E10, which is really fun. Like, it's fun to use this out when you got especially more space than even this, but this is a fun little light. All right, we'll turn the E10 off, and then we will go into our turbo on the Baton Turbo. As you see, kind of get up there in that tree line as well. And again, if we kind of compare, like when I was putting the E10 on this tree, you could just really see that hot spot more centered on the tree, whereas this is just more diffused, but still a really impressive amount of throw on the Baton Turbo. I'll see if I can kind of get these. I don't really know how this is going to turn out. I'll get them both on turbo here and try to just kind of show them both down there. Let's see. So the E10's on the right here, Baton Turbo on the left. So kind of just see the differences here in these beams. And again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you see a lot more flood and spill on this Baton Turbo. But if we want to get right down to a specific object, I'll take this turbo away. And once again, really nice on the E10. All right, now just for our last little test here, I'm just going to do a little turbo demonstration. There's actually a little road that runs behind our house here. So we're going to hop the fence, hop the little road, and we're going to get all the way to this far back tree line. That's probably about 80 to 100 yards. Just to kind of show what these lights can do when they're maxed out here. Well, this actually isn't even maxed out for either of these, but it's as maxed out as I can get them in my backyard. So we'll start with the E10 here. So again, we're going right to turbo. So you're at our fence, jump the fence, we're all the way back to that tree line, and we can kind of just go all up that road that's back there, no problem. Again, up over 100 yards easy. No problem there with the E10. And we will do the same with the Baton Turbo. So we're in our turbo here. We will hop over the fence, get up in that tree line. And again, you can get there no problem, but a lot more diffused. Still getting there though, no problem. Just not quite as concentrated as our E10. All right, guys, we are back in the review garage, having just taken both these lights out, run them through a couple tests in the backyard. Hopefully you have a pretty good idea of how these beams kind of compare now. So getting into which one I would pick, if I had to choose just one of these, it really is a tough one. I've kind of gone back and forth on this because I really do like both these lights. If you watch any of my other light reviews, I'm a big fan of the Baton Turbo. I love the Baton Turbo. I think if I had to just pick one, I would go with the Baton Turbo. I think it's just a little bit more of a well-rounded beam, which I kind of value more versus just having, you know, the little extra throw on the E10. I think I kind of like this more well-rounded beam on the Baton Turbo, with there still being, you know, plenty of throw, you know, for anything I've used it for. So I kind of mix that more well-rounded beam also with the fact that you are just kind of, it's just a little easier to carry. Again, it's quite a bit more narrow. So I think with it just being slightly easier to carry, and with the more kind of well-rounded beam, I think I would give the edge to the Baton Turbo if I could only pick one, just because if I can only pick one, this one does have a more, you know, functioning like beam. You can use it for more things, a little more well-rounded, I would say. But having said that, I love the E10 2.0 as well. I mean, it's awesome to be able to just blast, you know, a hotspot so, you know, set over 700 meters down range. It's awesome. It's a very fun light to use because just carrying a thing like this and just having that kind of power right at your fingertips here, it is a fun light to use. And I think if you're looking for obviously maximum throw, you can go with the Acebeam, the E10. If you're looking for, you know, maximum brightness, you go with the E10. And also just value, because it is a bit cheaper as well. So, you know, value's, you know, a big priority for you. I think the E10 is a great value as well. Now, I think that's about it for our Baton Turbo and E10 comparison. If you're interested in purchasing either of these lights, I will have a link in the description. And also, if you enjoyed this review, if you found it helpful, please like, subscribe. And if you're interested, you know, in any kind of outdoor review, I do, you know, everyday carry bags, lights, you know, a lot of outdoor kind of gear on my channel. So again, please like and subscribe. Helps the channel a ton. And as always, be on the lookout for more reviews from the Review Garage.